Welcome back. Political realignment and the future of coalitions. That's where we are. Peter Kaluma, member for Homa Bay Town, member of Parliament, Homa Bay Town, an advocate, and Alutalala Mhwana, an advocate, Daktari. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for staying with us. We have about 25 minutes, and I need to talk about this, but you asked that when we come back from the break, 30 seconds was not enough, so I'll give you.
No, I already read what you
Oh, he wanted you to read the constitution.
The point I was making is that in terms of resource distribution, and resources here include economic, natural resources, public service appointments, they are not reserved for people in the governing party, because all Kenyans pay taxes. And I'm persuading Kenyans to understand this, because these are the things which people who vote for a president who succeeds used to argue that, oh, the others are not in government, so that we can skew public service appointments, we can do. Ken, I don't know whether you remember that last appointment of KRA officers, where 1,402 are appointed, largely from only 2 communities. Yeah. We dealt with it in Parliament, it went to the law courts nullified it, but those guys are not home. They're working there to date. Get that level of impunity. Yeah. And that is why we must, dissuade Kenyans from the thinking that there is something called opposition that then enables people whose presidential candidate has succeeded to take everything to the exclusion of other countrymen. Okay. We must go under Article 10 and those other provisions which, re-establish it. And I know that once we have an election, we have one government. We may say what we want to say about how he leads. But the president of Kenya, our kids are doing exams today. If a question went
who's the president of Kenya?
Who is the president
in
of
Homa
Kenya? And they say a person other than President William Ruto. Yeah. They would fail, it. Yeah. So we must be, realistic. We must be patriotic. We must live our national values, even as we politics.
And that was a big problem for Rigiji.
Yes.
Second ground for impeachment, I think.
But the main ground.
The main ground for impeachment.
I love what Peter is saying. He's giving he sounds very presidential, I must confess. He's like he's addressing the nation. Ken, as a lawyer, there's what we call the de facto situation and there's the de jure situation. The de jure situation means the legal position as it is what he's talking about. Indeed, national resources are to be equitably distributed without discrimination on any basis. That is what the Constitution says. But the de facto position is actually what he has said about KRA. And indeed, de facto means, in local parlance, vitu kwa ground. Hufanyika namna gani? Na ukweli ni kwamba, wale ambao wameshinda kisiasa, ndio ambao huunda serikali. But going forward, now that the head of state has shown the way, and His Excellency Raila Odinga, the former Prime Minister, has also shown the way, indeed, yes, let's have a government of national consciousness and unity, where members of ODM can actually come in and help, members of ANC can do the same, and so forth and so forth. So to that extent, I agree. But he must also be truthful and say there is what is de facto and what is de jure. Itu kwa ground, tofauti.
We must elevate de facto to de jure. That is the ideal situation we aspire to, isn't it?
As Kenyan. Yes. All right, gentlemen, the future of coalitions, I think, is also integral part of this discussion tonight. We don't come from different schools of thought, but this is a fundamental something that we need to talk about. Do we see Kenya Kwanza holding? Do we see Azimio holding? Just the other day, Kalonzo Musyoka of Wiper, Eugene Mwamalo of DAPK exited. They just walked away. Azimio, since ODM joined government, I was waiting for his reaction. Since ODM joined government, it remained a shell. It remained a shell. Yeah. So do we see these political parties, coalitions holding? And what is the period you give them, if at all they are going to hold? Because I understand Rigiji has already come up with a party to front a candidate for 2022 if he will be
2027.
Yes, from this impeachment tag on his head. So he's ready to run. So as we are right now, and the realignments that Kaluma is denying that partly is happening in the National Assembly because of the fact that some of those people heading the committees were supporters of Rigiji. That's a fact. How long do we give them?
First of all, when you ask whether Azimio will hold, whether Kenya Kwanza will hold, we must begin by asking ourselves, what brought them together in the first place? And if what brought them together still exists, then the logical answer will be yes, they will hold. But if what brought them together is no longer functional, then the answer again is straightforward. Now let's see how Azimio was cobbled together. If you follow the steps and processes that were used to bring all these affiliate parties to Azimio, the glue was the presidency. Raila Amolo Odinga was going to be the president. He had the backing of the incumbent. And all signs were, just like all signs were in America that Donald Trump may not win, all signs were that His Excellency the President, William Ruto, will not win. And so that was a very, very serious cohesive force that brought Azimio together. Some of them actually were whipped into submission by very unorthodox means. Fast forward, the presidency did not arrive, and people now have to look for shade. You'll recall that the moment the president was sworn in, several members who had been in Azimio right from the UDM of Ali Rioba in the north moved. That case is still in court today, where the Azimio, I don't know whether they now abandoned that, where Azimio are complaining that the very election of the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honorable Wetangula, was fraudulent because it was based on members of Azimio who had procedurally crossed and went to the other side. So, Ken, if you look at the reasons why Azimio came together, in my respective view, they no longer hold. Okay. In any case, the very leader of Azimio has made a move and has made peace with the president, and he has offered to work with him. So there is absolutely very little incentive in people who now don't believe that the Honorable Raila Odinga will represent them. And that is why DAP has declared it's moving. The Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka has declared it's moving. In my view, I do not see longevity in the Azimio coalition.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, the way for politics, Ken, since 2002 is coalitions. So there will always be political coalitions. Since 2002 also, there is no president who has won elections in a party and gone into the subsequent election
with the same
party. Mm-hmm. Even if it may appear to be the same, the formation in terms of membership and the territory of the party have always changed. So I can assure you that I don't sit in the Central Management Committee or Summit of Azimio, but I can tell you based on, a historical analysis and understanding of our politics, there will be new formations going into the future.
Absolutely.
And let me leave that at that.
Absolutely.
Number two, Ken, it is very difficult to maintain coalitions, particularly when you go into pre-election coalitions and then you don't, win the elections. Yeah. Because then what do you remain with? It is just quarrels and positioning. And so you may easily understand it, Ken, when you see members of Azimio speaking as Azimio without Raila and without a prior Azimio meeting, and when you see members of Azimio, as you are saying, with members who are in the other formation. Yeah. You see currently some, top leaders in Azimio, principals, with Waititu more than you see them with Kaluma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Gachagua and others, more than you see them with the Prime Minister Raila Odinga. And that is very normal. Let me give you my perspective from what I've observed in Parliament. And Ken, let me tell you, I've been in Parliament, this is my third term. So I can easily see things which are going to end somewhere.
Yes.
And that is why when you come to Parliament, Ken, the lounges and the places you call restaurants for eating are bigger than even the plenary. I don't know whether you've asked why. It's power talk. all these parties and political formations are brewed over tea there. Whether it is ODM, whether it is Jubilee, they are brewed somewhere.
Discussions go on.
Yeah, so when you see what is happening in Parliament, there is no structured discussions going on between the parties. Don't even say there is something between Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga and President William Ruto as we speak. Remember, Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga is a candidate for the African Union Commission seat. And he has to be a candidate of his country's government. And the person to present him must be the president. And so you would understand this situation. Let us not take those to say, now Raila has joined Ruto. The fact of the matter is that in the nature of that candidate or candidacy, you know, they have to work together. And let me thank the president for the much he has done in that regard. Because if Raila succeeds, indeed the whole country, you know, succeeds.
It's an image for the country.
I feel sometimes,
the word join will remove
I
it.
feel sometimes.
The word join will remove it from the vocabulary.
No. I feel very bad sometimes, Ken, when you go to social media like X, and you see Kenyans saying
that the Djibouti guy will win.
We want to support another. That is against.
But they have no vote. They have no votes.
Yeah, and you know they don't understand. They don't have votes there. Yeah. The thing is that you want to thank the president for seeing Raila as a Kenyan, not as a competitor.
I actually think the president was sorting his 2027 political question.
Certainly not.
By supporting Raila Odinga.
Party is the most solid party in the country. You know it. I can tell you that. Allow me to go to the picture as I see it in Parliament.
Yeah. Because we need to know emerging coalitions and alliances.
No. I don't know whether there'll be coalitions or alliances. But I can. Let me give you the shape.
Peter, today you completely change.
You know, Mijunga.
You know, Kenyans are watching you. They're watching you.
Yeah, that's why. Ken, don't interrupt.
But be truthful.
I'm giving you from where you know coalitions are brewed and my observations, not party or coalition observations. There is a way in which, going into the future, from what I'm seeing in Parliament, it will be very easy for Nyanza, Western, Rift Valley, Northeastern, Coast, Mount Kenya East, Nairobi, to speak one language. And I'm seeing that even in the manner in which Parliament currently votes. You don't quite haggle, eh? There is also...
That's an alliance is given us Alliance One?
I'm telling you my observations.
Yes, Alliance One.
Because I told you I don't decide and I don't know whether there can be any discussions.
Yes.
I would not therefore be surprised if either jointly or in different political parties, but under coalition arrangement, those regions I'm talking about feature in the next elections as a unit. There is a way, Ken, if you've also been observant, outside of and within Parliament, that you see Wiper struggling to reach. You saw their position over Gachagua in the House, though you know under here they were saying he must be impeached because he would not play second fiddle. You know what I mean? And of course strategically, because you know the situation of the former deputy president is such that he can no longer run.
Yeah, as it stands.
So you must look at Wiper saying, we want to give a face that we are with you, but we actually want you to enter the hole so that we take the base. So there is a way, if you see the movements, even over last weekend, Mwana, where you see Wiper leader with Natembea somewhere, you see them with Eugene Wamalwa somewhere,
That's DAPK.
You will see them with Waititu somewhere, and
that's also an impeached governor.
You see them more there than you see them with their Azimio, partners. And when you hear them in Azimio, it is more of quarrels. In fact, let me say, Azimio has stayed up to now because of the level of leadership of Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. Otherwise, in other situations, Azimio could have been disbanded because we
Peter,
didn't
can I hear
I've given you
two scenarios.
So I don't know what will come out in future.
But
don't take away the fact that politics is the art of the possible. So even these ones you see fronting, they may converge there. Remember President William Ruto was a deputy party leader in ODM.
At some point.
Remember Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka has been with Raila for how long now? They part ways sometimes.
And they come together.
In the most unlikely of times. So don't say, Kalonzo is now gone, Raila is gone, Ruto is gone. You don't know what will happen. For us who are in the background, we wait for things to gel, then we put our bid.
Wakili.
Thank you. I appreciate his crystal ball on the issue of coalitions. Ken, in my view, 2027, going into 2027, I see a replay of 2007 in the sense of the unity of almost the entire country.
42 against 1?
Yes.
No, that will not happen. President Ruto will not allow it.
No, let me qualify.
Yes.
The only difference will be that it will not be 42 against 1, but it will be the rest, including a section of Mount Kenya. And that's what he has said. And this is very easy to see, because if you want to understand the palpitations of the politics of this country, you must go back to history from 1960s and how leadership and resources have been distributed in this country. It is not a hidden fact that from 1962, the leadership has been from one region. As it happens in African countries, where the leadership goes, resources go. I do not know if you recall the Honorable Mungatana the other day complaining why the now former deputy president was insisting the one man, one vote shilling thing, when if you look at the sessional paper of 1962-61, the regions that were more agriculturally potential were given resources for reason that they should be able to support those which did not have the same potential. Fast forward, these regions have developed because of taxpayers' money and affirmative action then, even before 2010. But now they are saying, we give more taxes, we produce more, therefore we should get more. And that palpitation has fed the politics of this country. And when you hear Honorable Kaluma say here that he foresees a situation where all these regions will coalesce together, that is possible. Because it's very easy politically. The masses in other regions feel that is the time the rest of the regions, actually they say, they may not, Mheshimiwa may not be able to say it, but from Nakuru onwards, the infrastructure is not the same as from Nairobi as you go this
Mwana, you are right, until I tell you there is no way President William Ruto or Raila Odinga will seek to exclude Mount Kenya.
That is
because if he were to do that, particularly for President William Ruto, then he would be going into that 2027 coalition weaker. Because you know Nyanza, Western, Northeastern Coast, the Maasai, the Samburu, the Turkana, those are ODM,
Can we allow him to finish? Then we can, because this is also an important point.
Yeah, true.
Looking at that.
True, but you see, Mheshimiwa Kaluma is an insider, and he has a lot of eggshells to walk around. So I appreciate what he's saying. But my crystal ball tells me that the rest of the regions in this country, and when I say the rest of the regions, I actually mean not exclude Mount Kenya, sections of Mount Kenya will actually resonate with the idea of having all those coalitions, which will eventually lead to a different coalition in 2027. And remember, 2032 will be fixed in 2027. So the coalition that will form in 2027 will determine how 2032 will look like. Now, you can straddle around your eggshells, sir.
So I don't know, Ken, why you brought Mwana, because we tend to be
speaking the same language, you converging
having similar revelations.
Yes, you converge somewhere.
The only point where I disagree with my brother is the suggestion that maybe a section of the country can be out. I can tell you the reason as to why you've not seen even much reorganization after the cabinet here going down is that is the insistence of our leader, the president, the prime minister, that all Kenyans must be together. And of course the hesitation of some leaders of some regions against, bringing all Kenyans together in what is, a government of all Kenyans as the constitution contemplates. But I foresee a situation in which The coalition, if it were to happen, I don't know whether it can happen, Mwana. A coalition where you have the ODM party, and you know how deeply entrenched and organized that party is, and a coalition where you have President William Ruto.
Yes.
That coalition in which you have Musalia Mudavadi.
Yes.
You have a coalition of Moses Wetangula. You have a coalition bringing the leaders, like Duale and others from Northeastern Kenya. You have a coalition bringing together Coast in the manner you've seen. They're now united, the Jaws and everybody.
Thank you.
That coalition reaching out to Kindiki, Chungu and others, that is a coalition that my worry, Mijungu, is that we may have a very weak opposition if we would have any.
Okay.
And so we are moving more in the direction of a more collegial, multi-party democratic
So now that he said my matrix was a bit not right, whom has he left out in that coalition?
Nobody.
Sections
so how do you call it a coalition?
I've only not.
Whom have you left out?
I've only
Which
left
region?
out. I've only left out. No. I've counted all regions.
Yeah. No. You've counted leadership.
I've only left out, the former deputy president, because
his point exactly, Peter.
Because is not unless there is some intervention of the nature we cannot discuss here.
Yes.
He is not an active player in the political space at the level of leadership going into the future.
You mean the court. All right, gentlemen, I need to talk about just one more thing, but before I talk about that, I'd like to play the video of the week. And as I play the video of the week, I'm literally trying to find something someone has sent me here, because I mentioned earlier that Kamala Harris has not called. There is no statutory requirement that she calls to concede, to congratulate the former president. We gave the president of an example of President Trump when Joe Biden, it didn't matter. So we're playing the video of the week, but BBC has just tweeted that Kamala Harris has called Donald Trump to congratulate him on his U.S. election win ahead of a speech to her supporters. So she has conceded. Let's take a look.
Political maturity.
Political maturity. She was so close. So close. Yes. I mean, she did well. All right, let's take a look at the video of the week. Then I'll come back with the gentleman to close our show tonight. Trump. Well, gentlemen, that's Trump. That's a video shot earlier, and he was really happy. I mean, 45th, 47th, right? Well, we'll see. Foreign policy, we would have talked about it, but we don't have the time. Gentlemen, as we close, I'll take you back to Parliament. Mheshimiwa, is the Speaker's head on the chopping board? Moses Wetangula?
No, cannot be. And, it's a very difficult question to ask me.
Because you might succeed.
Knowing he's my boss.
Yes.
Yes, but,
but at least you're privy to it. Yes.
The Speaker of the National Assembly, just as the Speaker of the Senate, are elected by members of Parliament. And I can tell you, Speaker Dr. Moses Wetangula was
He's elected. A doctor?
Yes. He's a doctor.
I missed that.
Yes, he's a doctor.
Doctor of philosophy.
You are lost from Parliament for very long. You've not even visited the country's Speaker and the head of Parliament as an institution. Yeah, is Right Honourable Dr. Moses Wetangula. Now, he was elected, and I can tell you the votes he got are very high. Yeah, there were rumors. Our media creating politics.
Don't bring us in.
There was this rumor when the impeachment issue was on the table that where next. I want to assure the nation that I also saw those things in the newspapers.
Yeah.
If there were any, I would know.
Okay.
And I would have informed my boss as much.
That your head is on the chopping block.
There is a process for removing a speaker
of the national. Briefly, would you tell us briefly what does it look like?
Muhwana will tell you.
No. You are the insider.
You're the insider. You told us we must understand this.
A motion must be brought.
Okay.
By a member supported by several others. Remember, there is a former MP of an independent MP from Ukambani here who tried removing, Speaker Justin Muturi in the last parliament.
Yeah,
what is his name? And it flopped.
Yeah.
You bring a motion.
It has to be supported.
With the proper grounds.
Yeah.
You see, just like the removal of president and deputy, and it has to be voted by members.
By membership, okay.
And that is why the speaker is an ex officio member of parliament.
Okay.
This is a parliamentary process.
Okay.
If there were anything like that,
you would know.
And by the way, it cannot be. But more so from our side, as the media was portraying.
Okay.
We are not there. So
no, it's not mainstream media
for positions.
It's not mainstream media.
I have no idea where that came from.
Yeah.
I have also just interacted with them on social media, so I have no idea where it came from.
Yeah.
But having said that, again, Wakili Kaluma has been very diplomatic today. It makes a difference. It makes a difference when you are now in government. Believe you me. Yeah. The Honorable Peter Kaluma will be breathing fire and brimstone here.
Ken, let me tell you.
Can you finish? Then we come to you because we are closing. We have about 2 minutes.
You can fault Prime Minister Raila Odinga on many things.
Yes, but
not on patriotism.
Okay.
If you want a person, people have said, take him to the table.
But where is that coming from?
And he will leave it for you. And so I'm telling you, our involvement is to stabilize the state, not to destabilize.
Having said that,
yes,
the procedure on impeachment of the speaker is well laid down. But what he is not saying is that even that speakership, he got it courtesy of political negotiations.
Exactly.
So if those negotiations fail, and if he has to exit, I'm not saying it is on the table, but if he has to exit, just like the DP exit,
possible.
Nobody cannot exit.
It is not on the table.
It's not on the table. I think that is it. It's not on the table.
The Right Honourable Speaker and the head of the institution of Parliament, the Speaker of National Assembly is the head of Parliament.
Yes.
Will remain Speaker as long as we are together.
As long as the politics are right.
I actually think the simplest answer to this for me, as we close, and I said this somewhere on my TikTok, nowadays I like going on TikTok. The simplest answer is the president is not prepared to open so many war fronts.
Yes, of course.
It's not the president.
But
not even
Rigiji
us.
was the president.
The one for Rigiji forced us. Ken, don't talk lightly about Article 10. You're a lawyer, you know those breaches. Those are fundamental. There was no politics. If I were to tell you to the contrary, there was an attempt by the president and the prime minister
to intervene.
To intervene, saying, please stop it, we want a stable nation. But it reached a level where as representatives, we told them, please keep
away.
This is a parliamentary process.
But you told us here that Honorable Kalonzo's team was saying Yende.
Them they were saying Yende because of this politics. Yes.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. I've had one of the best discussions tonight. Thank you, Wakili Peter Kaluma, and thank you, Alutalala, for coming tonight and sharing. We need to fix him more. We need to fix him more. Or we impeach him from the show.
For the others, but these others were...
We impeach him. Kaluma, I need to end the show, then you can finish. Thank you for watching the show tonight. My name is Ken Mijungo. On behalf of the whole team, we get to do this again next week, same place, same time. And if these gentlemen allow, I'll call them again. They are great company tonight. Have a good night. God bless.
Thank you.